$35 billion. That's what Dubai just committed to a runway that's already been sitting in the desert for over a decade. This is Al Maktoum International, 40 kilometers south of Dubai's skyline, long enough to land the world's biggest aircraft, and most days almost completely empty. Dubai built this airport once already, then quietly let it go quiet. Now it's coming back, with a plan to make it the largest airport on Earth, and to shut down the airport that made Dubai famous in the first place. Here's why Dubai is betting its entire economy on a runway most people have never heard of. Dubai International handled 92.3 million passengers in 2024. It's on pace for 96 million this year. That makes it busier than Heathrow, busier than JFK. It does all of that with two runways. Two runways, set just 385 meters apart, packed into the middle of a city. At their absolute limit, they can handle 66 movements an hour. Right now, during peak hours, they're already running at 60 to 65. That's not close to the ceiling. That is the ceiling. Over 440,000 flights take off and land here every year. More than 1,000 a day. There's no slack in that system. None. A single runway closure for maintenance sends delays rippling across the entire global network. And there's nowhere to go. Highways box the airport in on one side. Neighborhoods box it in on the other. Engineers looked at adding a third runway years ago. They couldn't find anywhere to put it without tearing down homes. This would just be an inconvenience for most cities. For Dubai, it's existential. Aviation, tourism, and logistics make up 27% of this city's entire GDP. Roughly 1 million jobs depend on this airport continuing to grow. So Dubai had one question to answer. What do you do when the engine of your economy runs out of room to get bigger? To understand why Dubai couldn't just fix this in place, you have to go back to how this airport was built in the first place. Dubai International opened in 1960. Back then it was a sand runway next to a creek, serving small propeller planes. Nothing about it suggested a global hub was coming. Here's the thing, Dubai never had the oil wealth its neighbors had. So its rulers looked at a map instead. They noticed something simple. Half the world's population lives within an 8-hour flight of Dubai. That one fact became the entire strategy. In the 1980s, Emirates launched with 2 borrowed aircraft. Instead of building an airline for people who wanted to visit Dubai, they built one for people flying through it. Connect a flight from London to Sydney and route it through Dubai in the middle. That model worked. By 2007, the airport was handling 33 million passengers. By 2018, it hit 89 million. As the numbers climbed, engineers kept stretching the airport to keep up. They added Concourse A for the massive A380, then B, then C. Each one bought a little more time. At one point, they seriously studied a third runway. It never happened. There was nowhere to put it without tearing into neighborhoods and highways that had grown up right against the airport fence. So by the late 2000s, Dubai was stuck holding on to a model that only worked if it kept growing. Inside an airport that had physically run out of room to grow with it. They needed more than an upgrade. They needed somewhere else entirely. 40 kilometers south of downtown, in empty desert, Dubai broke ground on something new back in 2007. They called it Al Maktoum International, also known as Dubai World Central. The first runway opened in 2010. Cargo flights started moving through it. Then, in October 2013, the first commercial passenger flight landed, arriving from Budapest. Then the financial crisis hit. Oil prices crashed. Funding dried up almost overnight. Construction slowed to a crawl, and the airport that was supposed to be Dubai's future became something else entirely, a mostly empty runway serving cargo planes and the occasional budget flight to places like Eastern Europe and Central Asia. People started calling it a white elephant. For over a decade, that's what it stayed. Then on April 28, 2024, Dubai's ruler, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, signed off on something enormous. EAD 128 billion. Around 35 billion US dollars. Construction would restart, and this time, the goal wasn't to finish a second airport. It was to build the biggest one on the planet. Here's what that money buys. 5 parallel runways. About 400 aircraft gates. Capacity for 260 million passengers a year. 12 million tons of cargo capacity. The whole site covers roughly 70 square kilometers of desert. To put that in perspective, just the first concourse alone stretches almost 1.7 miles long. That's nearly 19 million square feet under one roof, with around 100 gates where planes park directly at the terminal. No buses. No tarmac shuttles. Why build something this big? Because the fleet orders already demand it. Emirates has 270 Boeing 777X aircraft on order, the largest wide-body backlog in the world. Fly Dubai has committed to over 400 more aircraft on top of that. Together, that's more than 800 new planes heading to two airlines that both call Dubai home. Planes that size, in those numbers, need gates and runway slots that simply don't exist at the current airport. So the transition is happening in phases, not all at once. Cargo and maintenance operations move first, that's already underway, taking advantage of the open space and the airport's direct access to Jebel Ali Port 20 kilometers away, one of the busiest container ports on Earth, moving 15.5 million containers a year. Fly Dubai and regional routes come next, easing traffic away from the old airport without shutting anything down. Then comes the biggest move of all. Sometime in the 2030s, Emirates shifts its entire operation south, its new fleet included. At the 2025 Dubai Air Show, the CEO of Dubai Airports, Paul Griffiths, described it as the world's largest transition to the world's largest airport from the world's largest airport. Full transition target, 2032. None of this is cheap, and none of it is paid for by the government alone. It's state-backed, spread across roughly a decade, blending public funding with airline investment. Emirates alone is putting in somewhere between $10 and $12 billion of its own money. International financing is in the mix too. The UK has floated a $3.5 billion loan just to be part of it. And Dubai isn't doing this in a vacuum. Saudi Arabia is spending $100 billion to build King Salman International in Riyadh, 6 runways, 185 million passenger capacity, replacing their existing airport entirely as the centerpiece of Vision 2030. Qatar expanded Hamad International after hosting the 2022 World Cup. Istanbul's new airport has already pulled ahead of its European rivals in total traffic. Every one of these projects is aimed at the exact same pool of connecting passengers Dubai's entire model depends on. This is also why the airport isn't being built alone. Around it, Dubai is constructing an entire second city, Dubai South. 140 to 145 square kilometers, designed to eventually house 1 million people. Retail space alone is set to more than double. Dubai Duty Free is planning to grow its staff from 5,700 employees to over 10,000. Emirates is moving its headquarters there, alongside a $950 million engineering center for maintaining that massive new fleet. Put it all together, and this isn't an airport project. It's Dubai rebuilding the physical foundation of its economy, one runway at a time, in the middle of the desert. Here's what gets left out of most of the coverage on this project. Dubai isn't building something new. It's finishing something it already tried once, and walked away from. Al Maktoum International opened back in 2010 under almost the exact same pitch being made today. The future's biggest airport. The next great aviation hub. Construction had already started in 2007, with bold promises attached to it. Then the financial crisis hit. Oil prices crashed. The money dried up almost overnight, and the project that was supposed to define Dubai's future quietly became something else. A mostly empty runway handling cargo flights and the occasional low-cost passenger jet to places like Eastern Europe and Central Asia. For over a decade, that's all it was. People in the industry started calling it a white elephant. A billion-dollar runway with nothing much landing on it. So what's happening now isn't really a new project. It's a do-over. The same vision, the same location, the same promises, just with a bigger number attached and a fleet of aircraft that's finally forcing the issue. That's worth sitting with. The thing being sold today as visionary infrastructure, built to outlast oil and redefine the region, is in large part a second attempt at a plan Dubai already gave up on once before. The difference this time, according to Dubai itself, is that there's no version of the future where they don't finish it. Their entire economy is now tied to getting it right. So here's the real question. Dubai already tried to build this exact airport once, and quietly gave up on it for over a decade when the money dried up. Now they're trying again, bigger, and with less room for error, because this time the whole economy is riding on it. What's actually different this time around? Is Dubai finally in a position to finish what it started, or is history about to repeat itself in the desert?